Hey everybody, it's Amrita Krana. I'm here with my weekly market update. Today I'm going to cover Yckoff, very popular town in Bergen County. But before I get into that, there's some other information that I wanted to share with you guys, which I personally found very, very interesting. So I was looking at, just as a whole, how New Jersey is doing. So obviously Bergen County, we look at that week over week. But sometimes it's good to kind of just, zoom out and see what the state is doing, especially since SALT went into effect. For those of you who, remember when there was a 10,000 limit on property taxes that you could be deducting from your in your taxes for property taxes. As soon as that went in, that impacted real estate. And actually there was a lot of noise about how much will it impact, especially in the luxury, especially over, the $1 million mark, etc. So year over year from 2019 to 2020, looking at New Jersey as a whole, and I've said this before, we came into this market with tight inventory, with very little inventory to begin with. But from the 2019 low inventory as it was then, we have decreased in inventory by 38%. That's astonishing because we already came in with something that didn't have much. And from that point to now, we've dropped 38% further in inventory, which is crazy. And a lot of people ask me, like, why do you think that there's no inventory? Why do you think that people are not really selling? And there's a couple of reasons. So COVID definitely has played a role in the demand that has been created for people who live in congested places, in the more urban markets, in condos and townhomes, who need the outside, who need the space, who need the yard, because they're confined to their own home now, where that wasn't the case before. So that has created the demand. On the other side, people who could potentially be selling are a little hesitant because now they're paranoid about what these buyers are going to bring through the door with them in terms of germs and COVID and all that. So there is some apprehension on the seller's part. Now, could you do something like you market the home virtually? I do that all the time. There's plenty of virtual marketing you could do, even virtual showings you could do, to weed out the ones that won't be interested and only bring in the select handful that need to go inside the home to see it. And even then, you could mask it up. We could do gloves. Don't touch anything. I'll open every door or every drawer or closet, whatever you need, so you're not touching anything in the house. Air out the house, make sure the sellers aren't home for a couple hours. Like, there's things you could do. So those sellers are not jumping on selling right now. So that was one of the other reasons. Now, there are sellers who do need to buy up, trade up, size up. Those people are not feeling super confident about the economy. So if you look at the consumer behavior, consumers aren't feeling, oh my gosh, this economy, is going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. That's not the case. Consumer behavior is very indicative of everybody's sitting tight. They're not doing anything because they're unsure about how this economy is going to play out. So, of course, somebody's going to run a saw behind me as I'm doing this, but that's okay. You're going to hear me anyways because I'm going to just speak louder. So these people are not willing to be confident just yet. However, if you look at the investors out there and if you look at the investor behavior, investors are super confident. Actually, there's a graph I posted on my social media that you might have seen where you could see the difference between consumer and investor behavior, and you'll see investors are far more confident that the economy is going to be fine. Yeah, there's an election coming. Yes, it's going to cause a pause in consumer behavior, and then we're going to go right back to, business as usual. And the real estate value is still going to keep ticking upwards. The rates are still going to stay low. Fed just released that announcement a couple of days ago that they're not planning on increasing rates. And so investors are completely more confident. Now, consumers are not. So therefore, those consumers that need to trade up or move up and size up are not doing so just yet because they're nervous. They don't know what the job situation is going to look like 6 months from now. They don't know if the economy is going to pick up. So they're reserved, they're more cautious, they're sitting still and not doing anything. So those are the three reasons that I'm looking at when I study the market day in and day out, what's happening. So that's why there's a lack of inventory from that perspective. So inventory will come into place more so, I think, in the spring of next year. So if you're thinking of selling, think about whether you want to be a seller now when there's no competition for you as a seller. Like there's not 7 other houses that look similar to yours, 4-bed, 2-bath, or whatever your, specs are. Do you want to be the one and only and have all of that, demand come to you? Or do you want to wait until the spring when you have 7, 10, 15 more houses that could be your competition, and now you're going to have to share all the buyers that are out there, all that demand with all of these houses? Something to think about. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. If you look at the numbers from 2019 to 2020, just the 3 months, June, July, and August, 2019, historically speaking, was the best year for New Jersey housing market in the history of all the data we've collected. So 2019 was an amazing year for New Jersey, despite all the things I even read and we heard and saw about how people are fleeing New Jersey because of the ridiculous amount of taxes here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Was still the best year in the housing market for the state of New Jersey. Okay, with that said, in June of 2019, there were about 11,200 homes that were sold. Same time in June of 2020 in New Jersey, there were 14,300 homes sold. That's a 28% difference, meaning we sold more homes in New Jersey this year than we did last year. By how much? 28%. July, we sold 37% more homes in New Jersey in 2020 than we did in 2019. It was like 11,000 in 2019. It was over 15,000 this year. So looking at, again, New Jersey as a whole. August, 26% more in August this year than last year. So clearly there's a very telling story that this is a market like we have not seen before. I know I sound like a broken record because I feel like I'm saying the same thing in a different way every week, but the market is speaking for itself. I just analyze the market. I don't determine, what the market is. I determine what the market is saying, but I'm not, the market is doing what it's doing. I'm just interpreting it and telling you about it. Okay, so that's that. Now let's get to Yckoff, which is the town we're looking at today. So in the last week, Friday to Friday, September 19th to September 25th, we're looking at Yckoff, single family homes only, under $1 million. There were 4 home sales in Yckoff. One would be like, oh, only 4? But there were 7 homes that went under contract. So there were 7 other contracts that were written, went through attorney review process, and actually officially went under contract and off the market from a buyer's perspective. So that's over 11 homes that, either closed or took a contract. The new homes that came onto the market, ready for this? 3. Only 3 homes came onto the market. So inventory went down by 11 homes and only 3 came on. Gets more interesting. The current active inventory for $1 million or below is only 28 homes, which is not a lot of homes. And the inventory, the absorption rate. So if we don't bring on any more new homes to sell, list them. If you look at that, whatever the 28 homes we have right now as of this past week's worth of data, it will take us less than 1 month for us to eat through that 28. Now, will all of them sell? You can't always say they will all sell because some people will overprice it and underdeliver, the value of the home. But generally speaking, it will take less than a month. It will take about 3 weeks to go through those 28 homes, and then we ain't got nothing left in yckoff. So that's the absorption rate, which is super aggressive. Very much a seller's market because, again, supply and demand. There's no supply, and so therefore it's a seller's market. The demand is there. The average days on market is like ridiculously low. It says like 15 days, which is super aggressive. So there might be a cash sale in there or something that's throwing it off. But bottom line is that, oh, the other interesting factor is the sale price. So the average sale price in yckoff is about $780, and the sale price is about over 105% of the list price. So the list price is about $740. When it actually sells, it sells over by 105%. So think about it this way: you list the house for $740, but you end up selling it for $780. So the demand is so much there that people are bidding up, and it's completely normal to bid up because there's just not enough supply. So that's my weekly update for you. I thought it would be interesting to share the whole New Jersey aspect of it with you. I hope you found it helpful and interesting. And it's a beautiful weekend. Enjoy it. And I will be here again next week. Take care. Bye.